All right, what's up, everybody? It's your boy CFB Season. We are in week 6. Let's bring in our co-host. What's up, CFB Talk? We're live,
What's up,
bro.
man? How you doing, brother?
What's up, man? Hey, bro. How you doing with this hurricane?
Doing good. A lot better. I traveled to for work. I traveled to a lot of the places that were hit really hard, and learned real quick that we were really blessed in Moultrie, where I live. Not that bad here, but to the people little to the east of us, they've got hit hard. And praying for them and hope they can get through it. But there was houses without roofs. There was trees over houses. Seen a
Man,
gas station that burned to the ground during the hurricane.
I seen it
Um,
was. I don't know if it might have been the deadliest hurricane yet, but I think it was at second place. It might have passed up. It might have jumped in the first. But like I seen over 150 people got killed, and it,
it's bad.
it's been bad. So we got prayers for everyone in that region, and I know you
Amen.
affected. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad to
It,
see that you okay and you're back on the show, and it's gonna be that's all good to see.
yes, sir. No
What's up,
doubt.
Boot man?
Hey y'all, how's it going?
Welcome in, Boot. How we living, bro? It's week 6.
Doing good, man. I think we got a solid little slate here of games. Probably missing that. It's hard to sit there and look at it after a week like last week where you've got probably the biggest biggest regular season game of the season. But we've got a really good bunch of games, bunch of teams playing that still in the playoff hunt, things like that. We got a great slate this week.
Yeah, and like it may not be like star-studded and packed with like really big time matchups, but one thing we learned about college football is that these are the weeks that always hit us with like surprises and stuff. Whenever
Mhm.
like these slates are kind of like, get ready for some crazy stuff to happen, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
this is the
Definitely,
week.
definitely potential for some key upsets. I
Man, they got a lot of they got a lot of toss ups. I was looking at the slate. I'm sure y'all agree. I feel like they got a lot of games that could go either way today.
Yeah, I was
Oh
gonna say I
yeah.
have the list right here. Let's see. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. I've got
On,
nine key games
on upset alert.
that are all within one score, and
Yeah.
one was so eight left because one was the UNLV Syracuse game last night, which we had an upset. So first upset of the weekend there. Um,
That was an overtime thriller.
yeah, in a wild game, UNLV made a great comeback, and then there's a little bit of controversy at the end and an overtime thriller. But yeah, we've got some. I mean, I can list them off to y'all or whatever in a little while, but
Yeah.
definitely some notable games out there that'll important games.
We got some news sources. Pete Thamel, Texas A&M quarterback Connor Wigman injured shoulder is improving, and he is healthy enough to where he'll be dressed and available for the game against number 9 Missouri today. Look for a game time decision on the starter. This was posted 5 minutes ago.
That's
Well,
interesting. That's interesting.
man, we were talking about that 30 seconds before we hit go live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We
I
should have just
still
waited a
think,
minute to find out what Daniel said. So
Hey, yeah.
okay,
yeah,
he's not going to say anything anyway. Elko's not going to announce anything.
Let's
I
recap.
still think it's going to be Reed.
Probably so. Let's recap this little Heisman race real quick. I think I think I
Yes,
think we down to a 4-man race, fellas. We're down to a 4-man race for New York.
I
Um,
love that you got Travis Hunter number 1 still.
yeah, a lot of people are saying Ash and Jenny. But in my opinion, I think just Travis, the way that he is doing it on both sides of the ball, that's too impressive. You don't see that. The last person we had that was 97. But like he has to be number one in my opinion because of just the dominance on both sides of the ball. That's the best player in college football. Now Jalen
That's
Milroe,
that's what I'm saying. Like I don't.
yeah,
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
no, no,
that's what I was saying. Like I don't. I mean, I don't care if they go 3-9. Like anybody that plays 120 snaps a game and then has interceptions, and on top of that, like gets 6-7 catches a game with 100 yards
Yeah,
receiving. That's freaking wild.
if you played ball or if you know ball, you know how impressive what he's doing. So he has to be number one. Now you can make argument Ashton Janney should be number two, or you can make argument for any of those cats for number two. Jalen Milrow, what's separating him over Janney is that he had the national television audience for Georgia, so that's why I had put him two. But Ashton Jennings is going crazy. Cam Ward's going crazy. Milrow and Hunter. I think it's a 4-man race for New York right now. Boo, boo. What you think about the Heisman race right now?
Yeah, man, that's what I was about. I was about to jump in and say that I think it's going to come down to kind of how the team. I mean, how their records go over the rest of the season. Like, I think, I think Boise State needs to be, definitely in the Mountain West Championship game, and potentially needs to beat UNLV in a couple weeks and be in that Mountain West Championship game for Genty to stay in the conversation enough to have a chance to win. I think there's a good chance that regardless, even if they lose to UNLV and kind of fall out of the conference championship race, I think there's a chance that Genty could still get invited to New York, but he might. But it might be one of those things where he's not going to win. And then I think kind of similar for Hunter. I think Colorado's got to keep winning. Then Milrow, I mean, Bama's going to keep winning. That's more or less a given. I don't see them dropping more than maybe they go 10-2 or something. But I mean, that's still enough to keep them in the conversation.
I
So
agree.
that's kind of how I see that playing out. And then sorry, similar for Ward. I mean, I've got Miami as the best projected record this season as things currently stand and with their projections going forward. So it'll be important that they pull that out. I think kind of similar idea for Ward as Genty, where Miami has to be in the ACC championship game and has to be in the playoff picture for Ward to get the exposure that he needs. They can't go out and lose to Cal today. Because if they win a controversial game last week and then go and lose to Cal today, then he'll be out of the conversation, or he'll diminish in the conversation.
Yeah, I will say the record may be a little screwed a little bit. We have seen 9-3 teams win Heisman's. Ashton Jennings, his team doesn't really get the national spotlight, but however, everyone has eyes on him right now. Jennings, that's what's helping him out. A lot of people have eyes on him, even though Boise State ain't getting the looks on national television. So if he could just keep that pace up, and people are saying he might break Barry Sanders' record this year.
Yeah, he's he's on track for it. One of the things I think with Cam Ward, going back to him, is the schedule just doesn't allow him that big opportunity. Maybe Louisville, I think, would be an opportunity, but other than that, I mean, the FSU game isn't obviously going to be what it's supposed to be.
It would have to be Clemson. It would have to be like a huge game over Clemson.
And that's not going to be till, assuming they both make it to the ACC championship game, because they don't have Clemson. Right. And, I mean, it just the opportunity. But then again, I'm just hoping, I'm so happy I'm seeing more people in the media that do this Heisman stuff, that a lot of them still have Travis Hunter number one. So that's kind of giving me a little bit of hope that the voters maybe will change course and stop doing, the player on the best team. And just because to me, I said it a while ago, I don't Travis Hunter to me is the best football player in the country. And unless something just drastically changes, I'm not going to take him off number one.
I agree. Same here.
And I love now Jalen Milrow last week, man, that kid looked good. That kid, his performance looked amazing.
He's
played a great game. He's
a flashy player. He's dangerous with his legs. That's what's really making him really incredible. He's getting 2 touchdowns on the ground each week. He's very good with the play design. The offensive coordinator's cooking it up for him. And then the national television over Georgia was really huge for him. Huge.
Yeah, it's like icing on the cake.
Mm-hmm. And to do it the way he did, like you said, making huge plays with his legs, things like that. I mean, just it was just an amazing performance by him, especially in the first half. It was just incredible.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you what, I got two cats I want to talk about right here. Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams. These two young freshman wide receivers. Ryan Williams is 17 years old. Jeremiah Smith is 18 years old. What are they doing right now in college football? It's absolutely insane. Now, they are, I would say they two different skill sets in a way. Jeremiah Smith is more big, more physical. Ryan Williams got a nasty stick to his game, very, very sticky. What are we thinking about these two young phenoms in the game right now, man? They killing it. They got college football on look right now, man. What y'all think?
I think if number one, you cannot go wrong with either one. So
Right.
it doesn't. But if I was starting an NFL team, and I'm not, I would advise anybody not to hire me as a GM. Although my fantasy team is 4-1 or 3-1.
So there you go, Chris. Send that on your resume.
And I am in first place, so maybe I am a good GM. But I would lean Jeremiah Smith for me personally because I like the big bodied. He's not only fast like Ryan Williams and can catch and yards after catch, but he's big. I think what is he like? Probably 6'2", 200 something, 205 maybe. I don't know. I just like the size of Jeremiah Smith over Ryan Williams. I think both of them are going to be
6'3", 216.
Yeah, that and
I would say especially the way the NFL plays right now too, with the not as they're not going for as many of the deep balls. It's a little more the focus is a little bit more on yard after catch right now, and so having a little bit bigger receiver is definitely helpful in that.
Yeah, but I would pick both of them, but if I had a choice, I'd go Jeremiah Smith.
And they both young, man. They're only 18 and 17. They still got 3 years to grow more and just mature more into their body frames and stuff.
It's fun to watch. I wish I could get rich so I could be on Georgia's NIL thing.
just don't be driving the 130 with the Hellcats.
They better hope I never win the lottery. Georgia is going to have so many 5-star wide receivers. It is a wrap.
You don't charity, make it charity, bro. Just donate everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, they're amazing. I love watching Wyatt Williams though, man. That crazy that catch he made. Good night.
Yeah, that catch and when he made both Georgia defenders run into each other.
Yeah, rest in peace, my wife's umbrella. I destroyed it. You hear me? I went out there and I just went to town on that dang umbrella.
So what was how big was the comeback? How deep did they get down, Georgia? I know they said it was
30-7.
It was the biggest comeback in history for Georgia if they would have pulled it off. I seen that.
Yeah, I know they mentioned it 20 times on the broadcast, and I don't remember if it was 24 or something 28 now.
To be transparent, when it went 21-0, I stormed inside, pitch a fit, quit watching. I went outside. I was at a get together. Went outside, started talking to this lady that was there that was an FBI agent. So I was all into that, and because I was done, Georgia football was done, dead to me at that moment, and I didn't even get to watch much of the comeback. I turned around when my buddy's wife was just screaming her head off. I can't believe we let him come back. And of course that caught my attention.
Yeah, they got down 30-7.
Yeah, that
28-0 was actually the largest. Until 6 minutes left in the second quarter, Georgia was down 28 points. At 6:43 left in the second quarter, Georgia Trevor Etienne ran it in to put Georgia's first points on the board.
Yeah, so man, they would have pulled that off. I mean, they came close. You remember when Beck was driving? Came close to another miracle late, even after Ryan Williams scored.
Yeah, speaking of Heisman's, he definitely might have killed his. He'll have opportunities if he goes out and just absolutely kills Texas. But
yeah, it's looking like.
Yeah, I think that first half's going to haunt a lot of Heisman voters for Beck there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. It's gonna haunt my life too, so I don't know if anybody can tell I'm still upset 7 days later.
There's a lot of football left to be played.
Honestly, but it does hurt, but you can't be too
Yeah.
upset though. They can still control their own destiny in a way, kinda.
Season, tell that to my wife's umbrella.
They might y'all might play each other 3 times. You might need to get 3 umbrellas.
I don't, God, I hope not. I said it on Tuesday's show. Georgia fans get mad at me. I'm rooting for Bama not to play them.
You gotta think it was at Alabama too. They won't play there
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, all joking aside, I mean, I wanted to go. I've always told my wife, I said, I just want to see one national championship before I die. I got to see 2 of them. So at this point, as long as we just keep winning a bunch of games and making the playoffs, I'm good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was just a hell of a game, and we'd definitely be blessed if we got to see it again.
Yeah,
And
that'd be awesome.
how you think Florida State fans are feeling right now?
Oof. We talk about Florida State. Another team that I want to mention is freaking Kansas, man. I don't know what the deal with them is.
It's been 4 rough weeks for Kansas, bro. 4 rough weeks in a row.
I mean, their star quarterback came back, and you're like, oh man, Kansas is going to be on a tear this year. And they got a shot at the Big 12 and all this stuff, and then can't win a dang game.
Yeah, I picked them to win the Big 12.
Hey, here's some news.
Or not win them.
I mean, 3-1. Well, no, that one's 10 points. 2 1-score losses, a 10-point loss, an 11-point loss, and now they got to go on the road to Arizona State.
All 4 losses for Kansas were second half
chokes.
So yeah, this has been a rough month for Kansas.
And they don't have an FBS win this season. Their only wins against Lindenwood. I mean,
yeah, I mentioned it before. I think it's the OC hire. I really do.
Yeah, I remember you said
that makes sense. To take a potential Heisman candidate quarterback and have the team play like this.
Yeah,
but with the exception of the Lindenwood game, haven't broken again above 28 points a game. I mean, not 17, 20, 28, 27 points scored. Kansas is just not what we thought they'd be. Not what we expected. Not what I expected, at least. I expected a more explosive, more exciting offense than what's going on here.
That's some big news, but season right there that you just put on the screen.
Yeah,
I'm not going to attempt to say his name. I only have a high school diploma.
Oh,
let's see.
Princely. No, I don't know. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Princely you, dog. Princely you. He's out.
We'll go with that.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, that's a big deal there, especially for a team that's trying to make a bounce back. I was going to run through real quick of the list of my projected 1-score games, or I'll say notable 1-score projections.
Yeah, it is.
And so let's see. Missouri, Texas A&M, I've got it as a 1-score game. We'll talk more about that one later. SMU, Louisville, also 1-score game, or 1-score projection. I mean, both teams still trying to compete for the ACC. A lot going on there. I've got Army Tulsa as a 1-score projection. I think the spread's a little bit more than that, or it might be closer to I've got it at 1.8 points. Army's undefeated on the season so far, so notable there.
Okay.
Army's trying to go out and win the American. USC and Minnesota, I've got as a 1-score projection. I don't think we picked that one, but I think I lean a little more on USC side against my projection here. I think they win it. Typically 1-score is kind of like, okay, something weird could happen.
USC had a tough schedule kind of this year. They didn't really have any too many easy opponents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they definitely had a rough start. And then to play a good defense like Minnesota, who's going to try to control the game speed, things like that, you got to watch out. And I won't say my model's always right or anything like that, but I'll cherry pick and say that it had the Ole Miss game last week as only a 5-point in favor of Ole Miss. So it didn't outright pick Ole Miss, but it knew something was up there. And I mean, ultimately, if if Ole Miss would have scored at the end of the game, I think they would have ended up winning by 4 or 5. So it would have been right, one play off. So I think they knew something was up there. So I wonder, like I said, I lean a little more than 7 points USC here, but I don't know what y'all's thoughts on that are.
I'm surprised with that USC Minnesota thing. Now,
What's the
granted, I
actual
haven't watched.
spread?
I
Let me
don't
see.
know.
I'll pull it
Yeah,
up. You can
look.
keep talking.
Yeah. USC Minnesota. That's surprising to me. SMU Louisville. SMU's gotten a lot better, and it's been pretty impressive what they've been able to do this year. First year in the ACC. So weird to say that. But I was gonna ask. Does your model give Cal any chance tonight against Miami?
I was actually going to say the spread opened at 9.5 for USC, but it's dropped to 8. So maybe my model does know something. Maybe I should stay. Maybe I don't think USC will win by more. What was the question? Oh, about
does Cal have any chance against Miami according to your model? Because that's a game.
Let's see. I ended up not doing a breakdown on that one because I felt it was a little too out of reach. It's 16.5. Yeah, 16.5. Really, I mean, I think the concern is probably that it really likes Miami kind of on both sides of the ball. Like, I think they'll run pretty well and then they'll pass really well. So it'll be tough for, I think, Cal to match what Miami puts up points wise. Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty decent gap in the scoring. It also really likes Miami's defense kind of in this one, like to get a lot of stops, things like that. Pretty high stop rate for Miami. And then I was going to see if I go. Where is it?
Here's some Arkansas quarterback Taylor Green's a game time decision against Tennessee.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, not that he's like elite, but he is really. I mean, he's good. I wouldn't say really good.
I was gonna say honestly, I think it's a big deal, but at the same time, I don't know that it. I don't know that they were going to catch Tennessee regardless.
Yeah, it doesn't change my opinion.
Man, they should have beat A&M last week, man. If they had an offensive line, they would have won that game.
I heard somebody mention it, but Arkansas I wouldn't be shocked if they beat Tennessee. I'm not picking it, but they're like a team of chaos. You just don't know.
They definitely need Taylor Green, I think.
Yeah, I think there's times where Green looks, you're like, holy crap, this kid is elite. And then there's times you look at him and you're like, man, my 5-year-old could have.
Yeah, what's crazy with Arkansas is their offensive line. Sam Pittman, that's his specialty. It's kind of been their downfall a little bit this year.
Mm-hmm.
It has.
That's put him on the hot seat even more.
Yeah, it has. I love Pittman. I'm rooting for him, for more dogs. So I've heard some things about him from somebody, and everybody that's ever interacted with him loves him.
I was gonna say one more thing on Cal Miami. We're kind of hitting on a little bit. Cal leans towards their defense a little bit, and so the question is, how good is Cal's defense actually? I have Cal as only the 40th best team in the country. There's potential that they're better than that, and I've got Miami as the 5th best team in the country. It's possible they're not. It's possible they're not the 5th best team. So if we think there's a chance that those are a little bit closer, maybe that game's a little closer. But yeah, I don't see Cal pulling this one off. Y'all saw they busted down the barriers at game day.
Yeah, I saw that.
There were so many students waiting to get in. They ended up busting down the barriers before it opened.
We got freaking Marshawn Lynch as the celebrity guest picker, bro.
Yeah,
that's gonna get
hilarious, bro. I love Lynch, bro. That boy.
I do too. But ESPN's gonna get a fine. I can assure you that
he has no filter a little bit. I don't know if they're gonna prep him or warn him a little bit, but
Marshawn, and he's retired. He don't care.
He's gonna say some crazy shit probably.
I can't wait.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
So that's the nighttime game, right?
Yeah. The Cal Miami, I think it's at 10:30 Eastern.
Man, I don't got no games to go to today. It's a bye week for LSU,
It's
man. I
the
finally get to watch some football, bro.
if you
Yeah,
go
that
to
Cal
that
Miami
first,
game's at 10:30 Eastern, like you said. So that's a long day for them. I mean, they're out there at well, shoot, I don't know. That was like an hour ago or 2 hours ago that they busted down the gate. So I mean, they've been out there a
yeah,
long time.
and it's California, so it's like I think it's like what 3 something or 4 something.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? 8:30 here at my time, so probably like 4:30 there. I don't know.
That's a long travel too. Miami all the way to Cal.
It's a conference game. Ain't that crazy to say?
Yeah,
It's a
that's
Uh-huh.
crazy.
conference game.
You know, as dumb as it is, and as much as I hate it, it does
Yeah.
seem like, and maybe it's just a coincidence that Cal's off to a pretty good start, but it does seem like it's kind of revived Cal
Yeah.
football a little bit and their fan base. I'll be curious to see how many fans are out there for the game tonight.
Yeah,
Should be
I'm rooting. Yeah, I would like to see just from I love college football for everybody to be involved, so it would be cool to see Cal have a good showing and fans show out and show the whole world that they like football just as much as a Georgia fan.
Yeah.
The woke versus Coke. Have y'all seen that?
Yeah, I've
I've seen
seen that one.
Cal's coming off a bye. They started off 3-0, but then they had a really unimpressive loss at Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
They have a bye week to clean up the film, so hopefully they could keep it more competitive. I don't want to see Miami just run away early with this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could be a concern if they let Cam Ward do Cam Ward things and go and score on like the first 2 drives or something like that. I think Cal could be in a lot of trouble.
They need a good early start, Cal, tonight.
Mm-hmm. The Cal needs a good early start, and they need a slow game. They can't let
Run some clock.
yeah, they need to run some clock. They can't let, like I said, they can't let Ward, break off a 50-yard run and basically cut 2 minutes off of a drive by doing that. Things like that. That's what Cal needs to do to stay in this one. Like I said, though, I've got it at whatever. I said 16 and a half, something like that. I don't see the upset here.
Do y'all see any chance Iowa does the thing and beats Ohio State, or 0 chance?
I'm going Ohio State still. I think. Where is that Iowa? Iowa's Iowa's a respectable defense. That's been their bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how those Big Ten type game scripts go. They want to try to keep that like slow moving, low score. And the only way I think turnovers, if Ohio State would turn over the ball and play down to that here, I think they could get in trouble. They haven't shown me concerns for that, Ohio State. So I'm still gonna take Jeremiah Smith and all that talent they got on offense to still score on Iowa's defense.
Yeah, I would say,
Yes.
but I was.
Go ahead.
I mean, obviously their defense is real strong as expected. They're also really good at stopping the run. That's really been a big key for them so far this year. But I just don't know that it's up to the level of what Ohio State does. So I think it'll be a big test for Ohio State's offensive line to see if they can run the ball. I have them limiting negative plays too. Things like that. And then, but I think at the end of the day, the real pressure is on Iowa's offensive line to be able to, because I was going to have to run the ball 50 times, and they're going to need to be successful on 2/3 of those. Maybe not 2/3. On 50% of those need to be, for a solid chunk of yards to win this thing. But man, I think this will be also, while Iowa's offense isn't, electric by any means, Iowa's ability, as I mentioned, Iowa's ability to run the ball is pretty solid. So I think it'll be an interesting test of how disruptive Ohio State's defense is and can be, and things like that. Because it'll kind of be a first real test for Ohio State. So I think this is a game to watch, despite, I've got it at 21 points or 21 and a half. I don't know what the spread is, but it's somewhere in that ballpark, I think. I think it dropped to like 18.
So look, yeah. So you think Iowa could score 21 points? on Ohio State?
No. I think that's the problem. I think Iowa cannot score 21 points. They got to find a way to stop Ohio State from scoring 21 points.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem. I think it's two-sided. I know Iowa's defense is amazing, but it's not. I don't think it's better than Ohio State's offense. So I think the Iowa's got to cover two gaps in this game. They've got to cover an offensive gap and a defensive gap.
Who's Iowa's one loss right now?
Iowa State.
Iowa State. Yeah.
Iowa State. Yeah.
Like 20 to 17 or 14 or something like that.
That's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be tough. I don't think it's impossible, but I think the right things are going to need to happen. Things like that.
Pete Thamel just posted. We hadn't even talked about this game. I completely forgot about it. But Nebraska star cornerback Tommy Hill is a true game time decision against Rutgers today. They will work him out before the game. And
tell you what, Rutgers is undefeated. Yeah. They have a lot of momentum. Mm-hmm. I still like Nebraska and Dylan Raiola and all. So who's out?
I do too.
Who's out? You said
Tommy Hill. He's the star cornerback, the big time cornerback.
Well, that could be interesting because I kind of like Nebraska's defense in this, and so if you losing a star corner, bump up Rutgers' passing game a little bit, maybe. It'll be interesting to see what depth Nebraska's got there then.
Yeah, I haven't watched much Rutgers, but I think from what I've understand, the run game is more their strength. I could be wrong, but it may not have much of effect. It might, like Boot said, it may help the pass game a little bit.
Yeah, I think they'll need it. I think they'll need help in the passing game. Let's see. I'm going to say Rutgers and Nebraska.
So,
Rutgers offensively pretty balanced. But they really rely on a strong pass defense. So that's interesting. Nebraska will need to make sure that they run the ball pretty well. Despite Nebraska's pretty balanced offensively and defensively. Pass and rush. Okay. So, yeah.
I got Dylan Raiola's numbers pulled up right here. He 70% completion percentage on the year. 9 touchdowns, 2 TDs. He had that one. He got sacked 6 times in that loss against Illinois. That's stand out to me. But he's been really efficient. I have trust that he's going to keep up his play, Dylan Raiola.
Yeah, he's really having a good year. I've been very impressed with him so far this year. Not to make it a homer thing, but I sure wish he would have went to Georgia.
So Nebraska's a 7-point favorite in this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
7 points? Okay. I've got him at 12. I think Nebraska runs the ball pretty well, kind of controls things. But then they've got their, like we just talked about, a good quarterback that can, counter things too if they need to, if they get stopped in the run a little bit, kind of open things up and stop Rutgers from stacking the box, things like that. So I like Nebraska in this one.
Me too.
Wow, some more news. Henry Parrish Jr., Ole Miss's running back, is also a game time decision.
Bro, dude, this is not
a game. Doesn't Ole Miss have like 12 receivers out too, or something like that?
This is not a game where you don't want to go there not full strength, bro.
South
Carolina's coming off a bye. They about to punch him in the mouth.
And to Boot's question, I think so, but the main guy, Trey Harris, has been cleared to play. So I think he's the most important wide receiver. But he's been cleared to play. But now you got Princely out. You got Henry Parrish being a game time decision. This is not looking good. And then I think they've already have some injuries on the O-line. I don't know if everybody's back yet or not, but I think that's been their problem this year is the O-line just has not been very good, and it's due to a lot of injuries. So this is looking what does your model say about that, Boot? Does it have it? I know the betting line was like 9, I think, Ole Miss. I'll be curious to see if that's been down.
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I had Ole Miss at 5 points last week. So within that range that I've said, I think it's 7. or 7.5, somewhere in that range. Give me a
Oh,
quick second to
interesting.
find it. Oh no, I've
Gotcha.
got it. Well, I've got it at 8.8 points, so a
Oh,
little
okay.
more than one score. Decent bit in Ole Miss's favor. But man, you start throwing in these injuries and things. Shave a couple points off that. They really, honestly, might be right back where they were last week, right about on 5 points. Um,
Is
yeah.
is Lane Kiffin thinking about the Florida job?
Good.
So let me ask this: if let's say Season is the AD at Florida and Boots the AD at Florida, different, who, and you made the decision, you fired Billy Napier, got Sunbelt Billy back out there. Who are you hiring? Like you make the decision. Who's your guy? Now, realistically, you can't get Kirby or Steve Sarkisian. Keep your hands off Kirby.
To me, I mean, I like an offensive type guy. I think he's worth an offer, Kiffin. But I
Yeah.
mean, they're gonna have other names that are gonna be popping up too, probably. I think he's
So
worth an offer, Kiffin. He's definitely worth an offer. Eli Drinkwitz has been really good as well.
Mhm.
They've kind of both been following each other in the carousel. Eli Drinkwitz and Kiffin. It seems like every year their names are popping up. Who else has really been standing out?
Man, if sorry, I say if you give me
Would you rather a
if Napier
defensive
could give
minded?
me one more year, if Napier could give me one more year, and I could reasonably keep him for one more year, I'd be willing to look at. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if it's Signetti or how you say his name, but Indiana
yeah,
coach who was at JMU. He's
that's a
like
good one.
Bower. He just knows how to win wherever he goes.
Would
That's
you
a
Uh,
good
rather?
one.
but I would like for him to have 1 or 2 more years at a Power Five and see what happens.
Mhm.
Recruiting wise, things like that.
Yeah, from your head coach, would you rather defensive minded or offensive minded? From a head coach standpoint, just curious what y'all rather. What the preference thing?
Um, I don't. I don't really necessarily have a. I lean more towards offense because I'm just an offensive guy. I mean, I get on the NCAA 25 and I sim the heck out of defense because I'm not interested in playing it.
Yeah,
I want to play offense. I want to
yeah.
score 60 points. So I'm a little biased. I'd probably lean offense.
And then, but
But
then
I'll,
we say that, but then we look at Kirby, we look at Nick
yeah,
Saban, we look at um,
yeah,
Venable,
yeah. I mean,
things
it's
like that.
not like I wouldn't. I don't have a problem with either one. I think it just
Okay.
depends. I think you got to go in the interview and you got to find out what's his plan on the offense. Is he like a Will Muschamp and wants to, you know,
Now, do you think it's harder for a defensive coach to recruit offensive players or offensive player a coach to recruit defensive players? I almost want to say it's harder for an offensive minded coach to recruit defensive players.
I think that's probably more the case than a defensive
mhm.
coach recruiting offensive players. I was gonna say I think I'd pick a defensive minded coach because yeah, like if I'm the AD and I got to make the call, I think I'd rather a defensive minded coach. And for one of the main reasons being, if the offense goes sour, uh, he changed play callers. Here, he changed the OC and changed his calling plays because the current one of the situations going on with Florida is, from what I understand, is Napier's not giving up play calling. Um, and now that's a whole question of do you think play calling is a problem, things like that. Would the
Yeah.
offensive coordinator actually be better at play calling, all that stuff. But at least if you have a defensive minded coach, be more willing to give up offensive play calling to the offensive coordinator. That'd be one of my thoughts there.
You
And I think
as
at
a,
the end of the day, I think it also depends on what level you're at in terms. Are you a team that's trying to compete at the SEC? Are you a team that's trying to just get to a bowl game, things like that? I think there's also a question there because you need a certain amount of offense, but at the end of
That's
the day,
a
if you're trying to be elite, you have to have an elite defense. I mean, that's the reality.
you
that's
need
a really good
yeah,
point
you need at least
because
20 defense at least if you have elite offense.
yeah, that's a really good point Boot made. I think it all depends on the job. Like if I was South Carolina's AD, I wouldn't be hiring Shane Beamer. I know he's doing pretty good this year. I would be hiring like Chad Wells and those fancy G5 coaches that run like our Texas State's head coach. I'd like go hire those type of guys that run unique offenses that can, kind of pull off the upsets. I wouldn't go try to hire the next Kirby Smart, or a young upcomer. But if I was at a place like Georgia, I'd probably lean more towards like going to look for that elite recruiting defensive guy. I think it just all depends on the job.
Man, look, I got this pulled up. I shared it with y'all early in the week. Alabama, Vanderbilt, the last 3 meetings.
Oh yeah,
Boot. They scored 1 point a game, boy.
1 point a game on a roll. Over under 1 point today. What y'all think? I'm gonna go over.
I'm gonna go over.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over too.
Vanderbilt actually showed.
Now, part of the reason I think they go over.
Can they hit a field goal?
Well, I think they're gonna get a lot of. I think Bama's gonna score a lot, so I think there'll be a lot of drives. I mean, this thing gonna be like an 11-drive game. It's gonna be like a 13-drive game.
Yeah, and I like Vandy's cornerback, but yeah, they're definitely. I can't remember his name. Diego something. He's pretty cool, but man, they're saying the crowd at Cal's electric. Do they pay these people? Because there's no way there's that many Cal fans.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know where the ACC woke everybody up, man.
Yeah, I'm just shitting on Cal. I'm so sorry, Cal fans. I don't think Cal fans are listening, but if they are, I'm sorry. I love you guys.
You gotta watch out. They're football fans now. They might be listening.
Yeah, UCLA's traveling all the way to Penn State today.
Yeah, and their quarterback is. Let me pull it up. That was another. I didn't want to break news on that because I didn't think it would matter.
I like Nick Singleton, the running back for Penn State. He's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, UCLA's quarterback is considered a game time decision.
I think Penn State's got a. Penn State's got a solid little team this year, on both sides of the ball. I mean, they're usually really good on defense, but I think their offense is humming. Because I think that they've played, and UCLA's one too. I think they've played good defenses. Not that UCLA's defense is elite, but they're more of a defensive-minded team. So Penn State's not going to score 45 points probably, but I mean, like I said, they're playing a pretty good defense. So I think Penn State's got a good team this year. I think they're on a roll. I still don't, and I think their schedule works out well. Like I've got them projected at 10 to 11 wins, closer to 11, 10.8.
Which is, that's kind of what they do every year, really. But they do look a lot better this year.
But they avoid some of the tougher games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. My buddies.
What's good about Penn State, I feel like this year, they have impressed me. I feel like they would have slipped up by now in the past with some of those tough ones, with one of those competitive ones that they're normally in. But they have looked better this year, I find. I think the offense is more confident in Jalen a little bit more than what it was last year.
Yeah, I think they're balanced enough to make it work, because usually what would happen is Penn State would slip up like in the Illinois game because their offense just has an off night and they can't do anything. And maybe they only give up 10 points or something, but then they lose 10-7. But instead they win 21-7. But now
they beat
October 12th, they'll go to USC.
They had a good win over Illinois last week, Penn State, 21-7. Drew Aller didn't even throw a touchdown in that game. So they won that game without even have to throw.
Yeah, and the score it's 21-7, but from everything I've read, and it was not even close.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird game. It was close score wise, but I mean, like I said, Penn State kind of controlled things. But I think the reality is still, when it's a close game, I think you still have potential for things to be up in the air or whatever.
You're not having to throw much, Penn State, man. 17 attempts, 20 attempts, 21 attempts, 21 attempts. That's Aller.
Yeah.
So, leaning on the run game. They playing good ball, control. They probably controlling all the game scripts.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. I think they kind of control the game. Like I said, I really like Penn State. I think they're a solid team. I think they need to look good against UCLA today, and then they go to USC on the 12th. So I think that'll be a big. I think that'll be a big test of their defense, because that'll be the first kind of, really the first. That'll be like the first offensive threat they see all year, and then it also is it'll be. I think it'll be an interesting test to see how many points their offense has to try to match, things like that. And then they'll go to Wisconsin. Well, they get a bye in there, but they'll go to Wisconsin. I think winnable, and then they get Ohio State at home first weekend of November. So I mean, that's a solid 3-game stretch that we'll learn a lot about Penn State in.
Yep.
Man, so Georgia's about to play pissed off against Auburn, huh?
You know, that game, I think it doesn't really matter. Georgia's going to win. But what I really love to see in that game is Georgia has not been good on first downs and second downs. They've actually been really horrible. I think they're like in the 80s rankings, and they're getting into a lot of third and longs, which is they're not converting the third and longs because they're in third and longs. So and the O-line, the run blocking is not very good. So they're not able to run the game, which is affecting Carson Beck. I don't have it pulled up, but if you pull up stats on what he is when with play action and what he is without play action, there's a drastic difference. And what I want to see today is, I say all that, I don't think any of that matters versus Auburn. I think they could still beat Auburn without all that. But I'm watching to see, are they better on first and second downs, avoiding third and longs, and can they get the run game going? Because you are fixing to have Texas, Ole Miss, which I don't know that Ole Miss matters maybe now, but Texas and Tennessee, and you're going to have that fixed before you go against them.
I can't see a hangover. I can't see a hangover after a heartbreak loss like that. I just think they're going to be pissed off and playing angry. All that film this week, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to be playing angry on Auburn today.
Yeah, I think they're going to win no matter what. I just, from a fan side of things, and also just analyzing Georgia going forward, I need to see those things improve against Auburn, because in 2 weeks it's going to matter then. And you if you don't fix them, we're getting to that point in the season. I don't know, maybe y'all disagree, but we're fixing to get to that point in the season where you are who you are. Like, I would remember people would be like week 7 and go like, is LSU's defense going to get fixed next week? Like, no, we're 7 weeks in. LSU's defense is what it is, like last year.
Yeah.
So we're getting to that point with Georgia. Like, if I don't see that improvement today, I'm going to start just assuming like this is just who they are this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that's what, even from a stats standpoint, I saw Stats of War, Parker had posted that at about 150 plays is where like your success rate stat kind of starts to stabilize. And that's where we are right now, about five or so games in. You know, you're on 40, 50 plays a game. And so we're at that point where it's kind of starting to stabilize at this point. So, yeah, like you said, this is the point where we know who teams are and who they aren't at this point, at least for the most part. You know, pending injuries, things like that, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
So you want to talk about some of these big matchups today?
Okay.
Let's talk about what about SMU and Louisville? Let's start there.
All right, so the SMU Notre Dame game last week. Louisville Notre Dame game. My bad. Louisville Notre Dame game last week. What you thought about Louisville against Notre Dame?
I think I was actually a little shocked by that one. I thought Louisville was going to win. I think I had him picked. I think I really did. I really thought they were going to win, and I was a little disappointed in Louisville. And but really impressed with Notre Dame. Thought they, to be able to bounce back. Yeah, they're clean. I think they're starting to find their identity more.
Yeah,
and realizing what Leonard is and what he can and can't do. So yeah, that's what I kind of thought about it.
I don't remember exactly where I had the score projection and things like that on this one. I don't have it up right now, but I think in a lot of ways, kind of probably similar to what I kind of would have expected, with the big exception of Notre Dame's rushing. Only 3.8 yards per carry. And I mean, Leonard had most of the carries. You know, I just wonder. Is there music? Oh man, that's my music playing. Oh gosh, ads, y'all. I thought it was someone on there on on here's playing. I was like, what's
I
happening?
panicked.
Sorry.
I was looking at all my devices.
Yeah, I was like, what's going on? And then sorry. So yeah, because Notre Dame kind of goes as their rushing game goes, and you know, I mean, they had some good plays and like a couple decent runs, things like that. Made some key plays. But honestly, yeah, I mean, like it just didn't run as well as I would have expected. Uh, so at some point you don't want to I talked about it last week, like not overreacting to the NIU loss. But then a 3.8 yard rushing game. I mean, Louisville's defense is good and everything, but does there start to become concern for Notre Dame? And if they have to rely on the passing game, I mean, it was 17 of 23 passing, 7.1 per attempt, 2 touchdown passes. Riley Leonard had a decent game, but is it a good enough game to, spark something? But I know we're really talking about Louisville.
And
But
Louisville dominated the game script too. They had more yards, everything but the score. Everything but the score.
yeah,
I tell you what, if Notre Dame goes 11-1, they make the playoffs, even with the loss to Northern Illinois.
oh, definitely.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I think they're in the
definitely.
conversation in a 10-2.
Yeah.
So sorry. Talking about Louisville more, really.
JC, what's good, my dog? Hey, I see you.
There's a comment on the screen.
Yeah, that threw me off. I was like, what was that?
Yeah. Sorry, I don't remember what we were saying.
Louisville.
Oh yeah, Louisville. Yeah, I think Louisville's a good team too. And they were definitely in a place where they could have won that game. I think here against SMU, I like them to be able to throw the ball. I think that's kind of their strength and a strength in this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is about SMU's run game versus Louisville's run defense. I think at times Louisville, just statistically, they give up a lot of chunk plays through the air, but I don't know that I fully trust SMU's quarterback. Well, I think he's an upgrade over to the Stone kid. I think he's kind of up and down. I think it's going to come down to Louisville's run D kind of forcing SMU to pass more than they probably want to. And I think
Louisville's
that's
got a
what's
good run defense.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to give Louisville the advantage in this game.
Man, these teams can score some points, huh?
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna. Yeah. I would love to see a good shootout here. Yeah, both teams are really explosive offensively. I think Louisville. You could make argument Louisville may be a little bit more battle tested, especially coming off that Notre Dame game. We're gonna see if it affects their play today. Thinking they would clean up the film a little bit. I think there's gonna be a shootout. I like Louisville at home. I think that could be the difference maker. It is an 11 a.m. kick. Could get off to a little sluggish start potentially, but I do like how they at home. But I like both offenses, man. They're gonna have some fireworks in this one.
I've got Louisville as my 26th best team and SMU as 28th best team. So really, this game's gonna come down to matchups. And Louisville, like Chris was saying, Louisville, they're gonna have to do a good job. There's gonna be pressure on them to do a good job. But if Louisville's rush defense can do what they've been doing this season, like I said, they slowed down. Did a great job of slowing down Notre Dame, who relies heavy on the run. But I think Notre Dame is a better team than SMU. So if Louisville can do the exact same thing against SMU, slow down the run game, then I think this game's in Louisville's hands. I think they'll throw the ball pretty well, and that's kind of their where that gap kind of starts to occur. They'll slow down SMU, run enough, and then open things up in the passing game. So I've got Louisville in this one.
Yeah, I like Ja'Cory Wells. I like Tyler Show. Chris Bell kind of had a little good game too. He's been kind of popping out a little bit. I like their passing game.
Mhm.
So they're rushing still by committee. I like that too though. They still spreading the rock with the rushing game. Now what happened? So SMU got a quarterback change. They don't got Stone or what's his name?
Yeah, which is whenever they announced that, was that last week or 2 weeks ago, that kind of blew
Yeah.
my mind because I mean, like, Stone was all the talk last year. Like, like
Yeah.
that was what made them good. Or at least that's what people talked about. I'll
Kevin
say that
Kevin
much.
Jennings. Kevin Jennings is the QB1 at the moment.
Yeah, so for them to sit Stone, just starting.
Yeah, I thought that was my ESPN going off. Yeah. I was shocked too because Stone was somebody that got a lot of hype in the off season, and I was pretty shocked how it went, but I don't necessarily disagree with the decision. I don't think he's played very well this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, I get it. It just
it's
not
shocking.
something I had expected coming into the season.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to talk about
What's next?
Texas Tech and Arizona?
Okay.
Let me that one up.
Yeah, I think
Arizona. I like Arizona's offense.
Mm-hmm.
I was really disappointed with their defense for the most part of what I've seen so far. Texas Tech. I haven't watched too much of Texas Tech to be honest. I know. Let me see.
I know their defense is. I think it's their defense is pretty bad. Their defense is really bad.
Both defenses are kind of bad a little bit in this
Yeah.
matchup. I think.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
did
really
see that.
They scoring a lot of points. Texas Tech.
I did see that. If I remember right, ain't Dino Babers the OC at Arizona? Boat? Do you know or see?
I could look it up.
Ooh.
I think
Yeah.
he's the OC, but I heard no, I didn't. Nobody told me this. I listened to it on a podcast. I want to act like I'm Adam Schefter here. I had heard on a podcast that Dino Babers does not call the plays anymore for Arizona, so it looks like maybe the head coach is back calling plays or something.
Okay.
Somebody may need to fact check me on that, but I'd heard that on a podcast.
Yeah.
I think it's Dino.
Yeah, I really like Arizona's offense in general. I like their offense in this game.
Dino's the OC.
Man, the thing that you know what? I think it just really blew my mind, the Kansas State game a couple weeks ago. I expected, if you'd have told me Kansas State scores 31 points, I'd probably been like, okay, Kansas State wins, but it's like 31-24, not 31-7. I thought Arizona, that game just kind of, I think, shook me a little bit with my perceptions of Arizona. But like I always say, like you can't look at one game and try to base everything off of that. They scored 23 against a good Utah defense, and got that win last week. Now against Texas Tech, I really like Arizona's offense, like we were saying, and I think that's really the big difference in this game.
Yeah. So
is Arizona's offense.
I'm gonna lean on that too. I haven't watched much of Tech. I like T-Mac. I like the quarterback of Arizona. I'm gonna trust, especially coming off a big win against Utah. I think they could keep the momentum rolling a little bit. I think I'm gonna trust and go with Arizona in this matchup. But again, the defenses are not too great, so anything could really roll in this one. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with what Boot said. I agree with that.
Yeah, I've got let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
I've got T-Mac as the 11th most impactful, quote unquote, receiver in college football right now. And then if you just look at the Power 5 level, he's 5th. So I mean, he's obviously he's the guy to watch in this game. He's the one that's going to make or break a lot of things and help this offense flow.
Yeah, I'm going to go Arizona also because I just think they're getting better as the weeks go on. I can't remember their head coach's name. I'm trying to remember, but he's a coach that was really impressive to me on what he did at San Jose State, which is an extremely hard job.
Brennan.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he does. He's a really good coach.
I like
And
Nova Fafita too, the quarterback.
Yes, yeah.
Cam Rising didn't play. I'm sure that really affected Utah's performance too last week. But so
Mhm.
that was still a good
you
win. Though. That was still a good win. 20,
yeah.
especially for defense. I mean, 23-10 against Utah.
Mhm. Utah
That-
goes as far as Cam Rising goes, and
Right.
he's never there. So
Rising's on the bench.
Yeah.
yeah,
I was gonna say for Texas Tech, I want to make sure I say his name right. Uh-oh. Yeah, Taj Brooks at running back. I mean, I think he's kind of the make or break on Texas Tech side. So I mean, those are the two players to watch there with both offenses. You got T Mac and then you got Taj Brooks. I mean, Brooks makes really kind of makes this offense go. And I've got him. I don't have a breakdown for exactly what his stats are per se, but I've got Texas Tech running the ball pretty well in this game. So I think that'll kind of be one of the fun things. It'll be Texas Tech running the ball, trying to control the game versus Arizona, through the air more. But I think Arizona's offense as a whole, I think they'll be able to run the ball pretty well too.
Taj Brooks got over 100 yards every game so far this year.
Game. Yeah, exactly. They're going to lean on him. They're going to, really, okay. I say I've got Arizona's offense. Really, the gap is real small across the board. It's just that Arizona is going to lean a little more on the pass, and Texas Tech's going to lean a little more on the rush. Like I've got them. Arizona, I've got 8 yards per attempt throwing. Texas Tech 7.9, so they're basically even. Arizona 4.7 on the ground. Tech 4.5 on the ground. But then there's a 6.4 and 6 yard. Just on a per play basis, because Tech's going to lean a little more on the run, Arizona a little more on the pass. I also think Arizona's going to make a few more big plays, a few more early down plays, things like that, and that's really where the difference comes in. I think.
Who's Texas Tech's only loss on the year so far?
It's to
I see they 4-1, right?
Yeah, it was to it was a West Coast game, right? Washington State.
Now Taj Brooks didn't play in that game. If you want to take note in that, the only game they lost, their running back didn't play.
Yeah, and that's a good point. But then it also comes down to what we were saying about the defense. I mean, they gave up 37 points in that game. And scored 16. Does Brooks help them? I've got Brooks at like contributing like something like 1.5 touchdowns a game, so not enough to close that gap. Now, obviously, if you control the ball, control tempo, you can help your defense out a little bit that way too. But yeah, I mean, like we're saying, I think there's gonna be some points in this game. This is gonna be a fun game to watch. If you want a fun point scoring game. Good offense. What time is it? In a late night game. This one's 11 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
Oh crap! Not sweet. I gotta go to church. Dang it! I'm not gonna make that game. I can assure you. I'm too old.
Too old. Yeah. So as I mentioned, I like Arizona's offense. I like them on early downs. I got Arizona in this one.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's hop. Let's talk Ole Miss, South Carolina, real quick. We kind of hit on this one a little bit earlier.
Ole Miss, South Carolina.
Yeah.
So Ole Miss is coming off that loss against Kentucky. Everyone watched that game. That was one of the man. Everyone had their eyes on that one, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'll
man,
say,
as I mentioned, what was Lane Kiffin doing, bro? Why was he going so tempo?
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder how much, and it's a cause or effect question, but Ole Miss until late in that game didn't make big plays, which is what their offense strives on, and so they let Kentucky disrupt them a little bit, which was expected, but usually Ole Miss counters it with those big plays, and they just didn't have that until late in the game. So it's a question of. Was it a pacing problem, or what do you do to get Kentucky off guard there? And it just really didn't work until late.
I didn't
Um,
I didn't like how he was going so fast with his play calling. But I tell you what though, man, this game right here, bro. Um, South Carolina's defensive line's nasty, right? We all agree.
Yes. Oh, wait. Say that again.
South Carolina's defensive line.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
It's fourth
Kentucky,
in pressure rate and seventh in sack rate. They're
Kentucky's.
nasty.
I feel like Kentucky's box is what won that game for
Hmm.
against Ole Miss. They contained Dart and they were getting some pressure and hitting home at times. So this is a really tough matchup, especially with like LSU looming next week. Man,
Hmm.
South Carolina's coming off a bye. I think they're gonna punch Ole Miss in the mouth here early.
Yeah.
And those injuries you said too, Chris.
Yeah, and I think
the,
Boot mentioned it in the off season. I believe it was Boot.
This is definitely an upset
That
alert for sure.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and spoil it. It's my upset pick of the week. I'm going with South Carolina. I think they're going to win. But I think it was before the season. Boot had mentioned that he was curious to see how, with all the transfers, how it would, come together at
mhm.
Ole Miss. Yeah, it was Boot. Um, so yeah, this will be a good test for Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin to see if the guys that they went all in with on NIL,
Yeah,
and if they're going to come together and if they're going to fight back, because on paper, Ole Miss is the better team.
and their
Like
schedule hurt them though. You remember they didn't get
yeah,
battle tested, and they finally played someone that looked like them, and
yeah,
that box
and
showed up for Kentucky, and
I would, from the Ole Miss
you
side
can
of
make
things,
arguments.
if
Yeah, my
yeah,
bad. Go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. From the Ole Miss side of things, if what I want to see is them blow them out, because I think on paper Ole Miss is the way better team. I don't think there's a lot of things South Carolina does good other than the pass rush. They're, like I said, they're fourth in pressure rate and seventh in sack rate. So they're not only getting pressure, they're getting to the quarterback. But their O line's not good. The run game's not good. I do think Sellers and his legs helps
That
them a
boy's
lot
hard
on
to tackle.
offense.
That boy's hard to
Yeah,
tackle, dog.
yeah, and but I I'll be curious to see how Ole
Is
Miss
he
bounces
healthy?
back.
Is Sellers playing in this game?
I think I heard, or not heard.
It's
I seen on
questionable.
Twitter he was. Oh, is it questionable? I thought I seen he was probable, or doubt, or no. I don't know. Hell,
I was gonna say, I think one thing in this one is I think, well, two things. One, I think if Ole Miss wants to win this game, they got to pass the ball well. Um,
Mhm.
that my model's got them around like 8 yards per attempt. I think they need that or more, probably maybe even closer to the 9 range. That's what they need to do. They need to hit those big plays. But then the other matchup to look at too, I think, is South Carolina's passing, because that's kind of one of their strengths offensively. Despite being a more defensive team, their strength offensively is the passing game, and that's kind of a weakness for Ole Miss's offense. Ole Miss's defense is passing. They're a little more. They kind of control the game by stopping the run a little more. So if South Carolina can figure things out, passing the ball. Now, once again, I think there's a little bit of a gap in terms of quality. So while Ole Miss might be a weakness and South Carolina has a strength, I think there's still a gap there. I don't think they overlap yet. But in a one-off game, I think there's potential that they'd overlap. So I think and you throw in the injuries that we mentioned, things like that. I think there's definitely upset potential here.
And they coming off a bye, South Carolina.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Coming off a bye and at home, I think I'm gonna go. Man,
I want Ole Miss to win just for the next week. The LSU game could have a lot more momentum in that and hype for that game. But man, dude, this is not looking pretty for Ole Miss right now. And the timing,
part of me
yeah,
wants to say I don't see Ole Miss losing back-to-back games,
I want
but
to
at the
say that
same
too.
time,
But man, this
a
timing is
team
really
full
bad right
of a team full of transfers, injuries,
now. They're
and
about to get it.
the crazy stuff Lane Kiffin does sometimes. Man, I really want to pick South Carolina in this one, but I'm gonna go Ole Miss.
oh come
I
on,
think
join the
they.
dark
I
side.
think they figure. Well, I was gonna let you have
I'm
your upset pick there, so you can,
yeah.
if you get it right, you get to pull ahead a little bit
I'm
there.
I'm with Boot too. I'm pulling for Ole Miss just because for next week's LSU Ole Miss matchup, I want both high ranks. But honestly, I think South Carolina's probably going to win.
Let's go.
You feel me?
I think this will be a test for this. I think one thing to watch too is this is a test for Lane Kiffin.
This is a
Can
huge
Lane
step.
Kiffin be the coach that gets his team up and ready after the loss and the way they lost to come back and basically you're almost just continuing the same game because South Carolina is a defensive minded team, things like that. Like I don't think they're at the same level as Kentucky. I know there was I know South Carolina blew them out of the water, but I think Kentucky's overall the better team. There might have been some matchup stuff, but so I think it's a big test for Kiffin to see what he can do to bring his team back. Y'all want to do Michigan, Washington?
Yeah.
Okay.
National championship rematch, but of teams that look nothing like their national championship team.
I still don't get how Michigan's winning, only throwing the ball 80 yards a game and shit like that. I still don't get it, but I think this is a game where Michigan probably might finally hit their hump on the season. At Washington, how are we feeling about Washington's? Let's see. How are we feeling about Washington's offense against Michigan's defense? They're going to be able to put up some points on Michigan's defense.
I think so. I mentioned it pre-show when me and you were just talking season. Washington's 13th in offensive success rate. They gain 20 yards plus on 9% of their plays, which is 28th in the country. I think what they're really bad at is the red zone, and special teams has kind of been really bad. But I think this is going to be a game. I think they're favored, and
look, check it out.
Yeah, yeah. And as we say, Vegas doesn't have those shiny buildings for nothing. So they know something. I'm going Washington. I think I'm really impressed with what Jed Fish has done. I think they lost 21 out of 22 starters, and to be 3-2, and then possibly if they win this one 4-2, I'll be super impressed. I know Michigan isn't, great, but yeah, that's where I'm leaning.
And if Michigan keeps winning, man, that's so impressive how they winning.
Yeah,
that's really impressive if they could keep winning with that offense performance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned, Washington's passing a game is where their success is. It's where their strength is. Man, they're looking real good passing the ball. I think Washington's a solid team. And then, like we mentioned, Michigan relies so much on the run. But I don't know that Washington has.
Can Washington stop the run?
Yeah, I don't know that they do.
If they can't stop the run, then I'm scared already.
Well, let's say I don't know that they stop it enough to win. I think there's. I think they'll do a decent job slowing things down. But I say that honestly, Washington's defense is better at stopping the pass than stopping the run. So there could be some concerns that Michigan, could bust this thing out, and that's probably kind of where I'm leaning on things. I think there's definitely a scenario where Washington wins this game, but I think there are more scenarios where Michigan wins it because they control the game on the ground and they get a few more stops. Also, one thing that shows up in my model that I find interesting is Washington's like a red flag for risk of turnovers in this game. So keep an eye on that. If Michigan comes out and ends up +2 on turnovers, then I don't see a scenario that Washington wins this thing.
Yeah, no, you got to play clean probably.
Yeah, Washington's going to have to play a clean game. What else y'all got on this one?
Man, we got all these games today are just like toss-ups, huh? I could see
there's tons of one. I listed
all these games could just go either way, bro. Washington's actually sitting 10th right now in total defense. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna pick Washington. I don't feel too confident in it. But if Michigan wins with that lackluster, that's so impressive how they just keep doing that and just leaning on the run. But like I said, bro, all these games are really toss-ups. I think today a lot of them could just go either way.
Yeah, I'll say from a yards perspective, I think obviously with the Michigan to lean on the run. But I think in general, pretty average standard yards per play kind of things. Nothing, overly exceptional either way there. Maybe some longer drives, but that doesn't seem overly surprising. I think these teams will kind of move the ball down the field a little bit. The real trick, I think, is going to be in scoring opportunities when they cross the field. Like I said, we've seen Washington really struggle in the red zone. Do they fix that? Or do they have to rely on field goals? Or are they turning the ball over in the red zone? I think those are all risks for Washington there. And I think at the end of the day, Michigan's defense pulls this one out.
Yeah.
All right,
to be honest, I haven't watched much. I haven't watched a lick of Washington this year, to be honest. But
I haven't either.
I don't know too much about Washington.
I think this will be one to watch. I think it'll be I think it'll be a fun, interesting game.
What time's that one?
Where'd it go?
Please don't be late. Please don't be late.
7:30 Eastern on NBC.
Sweet.
Damn, they got some good late ones tonight.
Yeah, some good evening games. Okay, and then we've got Missouri and Texas A&M.
Hey, I went back and looked a little bit of the Texas A&M Arkansas game last week. Arkansas should have won that game, to be honest.
In the chaos.
Texas A&M likes the freaking blitz, bro. What? I'm not too sure if they're going to be able to do that today, especially with Luther Burton on the outside. We're going to see how they pick their battles with the blitzes, but man, they like to send the house. If Arkansas had an offensive line, they probably win that game. So this is an interesting matchup. Missouri's coming off a bye. It's at A&M. A&M's been winning since the Notre Dame loss. They've been kind of just taking it week by week. Missouri hasn't looked as dominant or as great as we all thought they were. They kind of just been scraping by a little bit as well. To me, I think this matchup, we all know Texas A&M got a good defense. I don't. People are saying Missouri's offense ain't as explosive as we thought. I don't think A&M's offense is really explosive either, though. To be honest,
it's not.
No, agreed. But I think Missouri not being as explosive as we thought that's my concern with them.
Mm-hmm. That's a concern. That's a concern as well. I'm still not too high on A&M.
Yeah, I think it's more so just surprising with Missouri because last year they ranked 17th in explosiveness, and then this year they're 102nd. I don't know what's going on, if teams are maybe like figuring out, how to stop it, or I don't know, but that's my greatest concern. I'm not as high on the Aggies like you, Season, but I'm just not as high on Missouri more, so I'm going to go the Aggies. I think the defense is going to limit the explosives. And I think Reed with his legs, assuming he starts, I still think he is.
Yeah.
But I think his legs are what's going to be the difference maker in this game because Mizzou's D-line's pretty good. And then the Aggies' run game's pretty good. So it's like a strength on strength. And that's why I think his legs will make the difference in the game. And that's why I'm going to go with the Aggies.
And Brady Cook only got 4 touchdowns on the year, which is very surprising, bro. He got Luther Burden, he got Theo Weiss. I like how they're coming off a bye. I think Eli Drinkwitz is going to have some wrinkles for them. I think I would still trust Missouri here in this matchup. Like I said, all these games are really toss-ups. I could see all these games just going either way, but I'm not too high on A&M's offense. I do like their defense though, but I think I'm gonna trust Missouri to still maybe pull this one out.
Yeah, I like A&M's defense, like we said. I think Missouri leans a little more on their offense. So I think that's where a big battle is, of course. And then one thing I think will be really interesting to see, and I think could be a make or break in this. I mean, this is where I think A&M gets the advantage. A&M's really good at getting those third down stops, and Missouri's offense relies on converting those third downs, converting on third down. So I think when that battle happens there, I think what's going to make it hard for Missouri to move the ball and score consistently is that battles on third down. So even if Missouri plays to their strength and converts those third downs, I think A&M is going to force a lot of them. I think ultimately what Missouri needs to do, I've got A&M winning this one. I think A&M's defense is probably the best of the four components in this game. So A&M's defense wins it for them unless Missouri can make some big plays. Missouri's got to make something happen, got to find some explosiveness.
I tell you what, Missouri needs if Missouri don't have a good O line, it's going to be a long day. I feel like I don't know how Missouri's O line's looking, but A&M's going to send some. They like to send some pressure.
I think Missouri's pretty good at avoiding negative plays, avoiding tackles for losses, things like that. Missouri's pretty good at that. I don't know if it's just more on their scheme and stuff, or if it's on their offensive line that's helping them there. We'll see more of that today. But I think with that, like I'm saying, I don't think they'll be able to rely on that today. They won't be able to rely on not making mistakes. They need to make big plays to counter it.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but Cal has really stepped up. Somebody has a sign that says, "I thought this was a protest."
That's great.
Yeah, it's
share it with me or something.
Yeah, throw it up. The signs are hilarious. God, I love it. Cal fans, this is great. Let's see. I just shared it.
That's 11 a.m. kick, right, Boot? Missouri A&M.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching that one out the gate.
Yeah, that'll be a great one early in the day.
Yeah, there it is. That was the Adams was a mistake.
Wait, did we do all the big games, Boo? Or we
that was it.
That's all the ones we had slated out.
Hey, if anyone's we got 41 people currently in our lobby watching the show. If anyone got any comments or anything you want to talk about, post a comment. We could pull it up on the screen for you, and we could talk about it and discuss. That's pretty cool. Hey, man, we got 41 people on the show right now.
If I knew that many people were watching me, I'd have sounded more educated.
So the Ole Miss South Carolina game's at 2:30. That's the must watch 2:30 window, I think.
Yeah, I'm into that one. And I ain't gonna lie, I can't help myself, but I'm so ready for next weekend. I'm sorry, I shouldn't do that.
Next 2 weekends. Yeah. Oh my God, we got some slates, huh?
I know. Next weekend's gonna be absolutely wild.
I think there's a chance for some wild stuff this weekend, so don't overlook this one. Like I said, we got a bunch of 4 games.
That's usually how it is, man. The weeks where we think it's going to be lackluster, or the weeks where it's like all upsets, the weeks where we think it's going to be so great, it's kind of like just chalk talk.
Mm-hmm. Yep. This will be the week something crazy will happen, and it always does. And if it don't, there's enough good games out there. Missouri, Texas A&M is going to be fun. Ole Miss, South Carolina. I do think the Cal and Miami game has an opportunity. I don't think it'll happen, but it has a chance.
I think it's a potential, but yeah.
Ohio State, Iowa, I don't think. I mean, it can happen. That defense, it could, if Iowa gets the game in a certain way. But yeah, we got a lot of potential.
Indiana's 5-0. They got Northwestern.
Yeah. Love the Indiana thing. That's awesome, and he's such a good coach.
I think UCLA Penn State at 11 a.m. We might get like a little highlight updates on that one. See how Penn State's doing.
Yeah. Yep. But
okay. Anyone got
that was a good show, guys.
Yeah. No, thanks everyone for joining in, hanging out with us.
Yep. Yeah. Please sub and subscribe to CFP Season on YouTube and hit the follow button. And we
do this each Saturday morning, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, and then on Tuesday, time kind of varies there, but Tuesday afternoon, evening, we try to do an interview or some sort of show, talk about some things. So join us.
Yeah, and Sundays. Don't forget Sundays.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
yeah,
and
Sundays. Yeah, usually around I don't, whenever season gets to his house. It's whenever he gets home. That's when we start it. It's usually in the evening time. So yeah, come check out Sunday show too. We'll recap the weekend and get going. So yeah, y'all have a good one, boys.
All right. Enjoy your Saturday.
All right, man.